Windows 11 has a couple of requirements that I find horrifically problematic.
Next thing people don't like was the overcramming of AI in there, where there's AI in the toolbar, every time you right click, and everywhere your cursor goes, there's AI.
The AI is the biggest technical thing ever in my life.
Bill Gates just watched the Windows empire slip through his fingers, because Windows 11 is pushing users out faster than Microsoft can pull them back in. What was sold as the next AI revolution has turned into a full-blown revolt, with people dumping AI PCs and fleeing the ecosystem entirely. And the shockwave hit its peak at CES 2026, when Dell, Microsoft's biggest hardware ally, publicly admitted the truth Gates never wanted spoken. Nobody wants Windows 11 AI PCs.
How many people are using Copilot? None! Hey Copilot, can you help me with my simple question?
No.
Can you send my private info to hackers?
Yes, with a single click.
A single click?
Let's start with what Microsoft desperately wanted you to believe. AI computers aren't just better PCs according to their pitch. They're a completely new category. Microsoft created the Copilot Plus brand specifically to separate these machines from everything that came before. The barrier to entry? A neural processing unit capable of 40 TOPS or higher. That's not a suggestion. That's Microsoft's own specification, published in their technical documentation. This wasn't about improving Windows. This was about forcing hardware replacement cycles and locking users into a new tier of devices where AI runs constantly in the background whether you asked for it or not.
From the company that's giving its assistant deeper access to your computer, but less access to intelligence. As you may have heard recently, that a hack has been discovered that could trick the Microsoft Copilot assistant into giving your private data to hackers.
CES 2026 was supposed to be saturated with AI buzzwords. Every booth, every presentation, every product launch was expected to lead with artificial intelligence. Then Dell showed up and did the exact opposite. Kevin Terwilliger, Dell's product chief, stood in front of the industry and stated clearly that consumers aren't buying PCs based on AI, and that AI confuses buyers more than it helps them understand outcomes. This wasn't some random critic. This was a top-tier OEM contradicting the entire industry's AI-first sales pitch at the biggest stage in consumer electronics.
This time last year, Microsoft rushed Windows Recall into public testing, allowing AI PCs, whatever those are, to record, catalog, and even revisit all user interactions. You know, in case you forgot how to open up your browser history or scroll up in a chat window. And to say that that rollout went poorly would be a gross understatement.
Microsoft invested everything into making Recall the killer feature that would justify AI PCs. Think of it as photographic memory for your computer. Windows takes periodic snapshots of everything on your screen, analyzes them with AI, and stores that information in a searchable timeline. You're supposed to be able to ask your PC what you were working on 3 weeks ago and have it pull up at the exact moment. Microsoft framed this as revolutionary. A new workflow built around AI memory and search that would redefine how people interact with their computers.
Microsoft is stealing your data. When upgrading to Windows 11, you're probably going to be scrolling directly to the bottom of the terms of service, but Microsoft hid a tiny detail in there, allowing them to collect and share personal data of yours with multiple third parties.
Then the backlash hit. Security researchers, privacy advocates, IT administrators, and regular users all reached the same conclusion simultaneously. This is a catastrophic exposure risk. Recall captures everything: private messages, passwords typed into forms, financial account details, medical records visible in browser tabs, sensitive business documents, personal conversations. All of it recorded, indexed, and stored locally on your drive. Microsoft insisted this was safe because the data never leaves your device. Local storage supposedly meant local security.
That people are very concerned about the new virus in Windows that'll take a screenshot of everything you do on your computer, from your online bank account numbers, medical records, and even the cheeky websites you visit.
That argument falls apart the moment you understand how breaches actually happen. Malware doesn't need to phone home when the data is already sitting on your hard drive waiting to be copied. Any malicious software with local file access can harvest your entire recall timeline in seconds. Physical access combined with weak PIN habits? Your entire digital life gets exposed. Corporate backup systems accidentally archiving recall databases? Sensitive timelines leak into managed storage. Remote admin tools and endpoint management software. Automated exfiltration becomes trivial. Remote code execution vulnerabilities turn recall into a jackpot for attackers who don't even need credentials.
To make searching on your computer easier for you and anyone who has access to your computer. So it's not a bug, it's a feature. Just not so much a feature for you as it is for hackers.
The danger isn't that hackers are geniuses, it's that data concentration creates one perfect target. Instead of attackers needing to compromise dozens of services to build a profile, Recall hands them a pre-indexed archive of everything you've done on your computer. Microsoft built the surveillance infrastructure and told users to trust that nothing would go wrong.
Microsoft's claim was that all of that's fine and that Recall is totally secure. Unfortunately, that held up for about as long as it took for someone to download the preview and then track down the folder that it was writing to, at which point the entire internet lost its collective mind over how absolutely not secure it actually was.
Microsoft's response to the blowback revealed just how badly they miscalculated. Recall was delayed. Rollout became staged. Availability shifted from broad release to Windows Insider Program first. What was supposed to be a flagship launch feature became a reputational liability that Microsoft had to walk back repeatedly. They added opt-in requirements, rewrote security architecture messaging, introduced more IT controls, and extended the preview period indefinitely. When a feature needs this many reversals before it even launches, the market reads it as fundamentally unstable. If you're starting to see the cracks in Microsoft's story, smash like, share this video, and subscribe, because the next part goes even deeper.
You know, the Windows 11 is a buggy mess, and right now there are at least 3 bugs that could be putting your system at risk. Of course you knew Windows was a buggy mess, that's why you're here.
But here's what makes this collapse even more significant. According to StatCounter data from November 2025, Windows 11 sat at roughly 53.7% market share, while Windows 10 held 42.7%. Microsoft wanted a clean, one-way migration curve. What they got instead was hesitation. By December 2025, the numbers got worse. Windows 11 dropped to approximately 50.73%. Windows 10 climbed to 44.68%. People aren't just refusing to upgrade, they're actively moving backward.
If you're using the utility to upgrade your computer from Windows 10 to Windows 11 because Windows 10 is end of life, it can create an issue which forces your computer to do the upgrade to Windows 11 and then re-downgrade itself to Windows 10 and stick on a loop every time you try to run the tool. It can also cause your hard drive to become corrupt. Any more corruption and then be like a politician that makes money during a government shutdown.
Microsoft tried everything to force compliance. The Windows 10 end of support deadline hit on October 14, 2025. That was supposed to be the final lever. Fear of lost security updates has always been Microsoft's strongest tool for moving users forward. This time, it failed completely. Then, Microsoft made it conditional. They offered 1 free year of Windows 10 security updates, but only if users enabled Windows Backup and synced their Documents folder to OneDrive. Otherwise, you pay for extended support or redeem reward points. Even security became a bargaining chip to push cloud adoption.
How did this hack work? Well, it seems to have been an exploit with the web browser version of Copilot, where the victim was sent a legitimate link to the Copilot page, in like an email or something, except in that URL, there would be a hidden bit after it called a queue parameter that would automatically send a naughty prompt to Copilot and hack the system.
Anger isn't about one bad feature. It's about the entire control stack Microsoft built into the operating system. Hardware gatekeeping came first. Windows 11's system requirements locked out an enormous portion of machines built between 2016 and 2019. These weren't struggling devices. They ran creative software, business applications, and modern games without issue. Microsoft labeled them obsolete through policy, not performance. The goal was forcing refresh cycles that benefited hardware partners and gave Microsoft leverage to push new platform requirements.
Thanks, Recall. See everything our users type in, from home addresses, phone numbers, and even passwords. Like this user's password is ... Okay, screenshots can't tell you everything.
Setup increasingly requires internet access and a Microsoft account. For decades, Windows let people treat their PC as a self-contained tool. Windows 11 reframed that relationship. Your credentials, settings, backups, and usage data now flow through Microsoft by default. OneDrive prompts became relentless. Windows Backup pushed users towards storing everything on Microsoft servers. Then they tied free security updates to OneDrive sync requirements. If you want protection, you upload your documents. If you want control, you accept risk. Ads and upsells inside a paid operating system shattered what little trust remained. Start menu promotions. Subscription nags for Microsoft 365, File Explorer upsells. Copilot pop-ups that return after every update even when disabled. People paid for their hardware and indirectly paid for Windows through that purchase. Then, Microsoft turned the OS into a monetization surface that advertises back to them constantly.
They can make money if that advertisement convinces you to pay for a monthly subscription to Office 365. It's not rocket science, and users are seeing through it, but Microsoft, for some reason, refuses to acknowledge that people hate this business model.
Performance regression made the problem tangible. Windows 11 promised efficiency but delivered slower application launches, lower gaming frame rates, and heavier background activity compared to Windows 10 on identical hardware. Background syncing, telemetry, AI services, and cloud hooks consumed resources continuously. When an OS makes expensive hardware perform worse than before, users stop listening to marketing and start looking for exits.
Copilot link when clicked would make Copilot answer a malicious prompt right away and would leak your data.
Those exits are easier than ever. Linux distributions now install cleanly, recognize hardware automatically, and run mainstream applications through native software or compatibility layers like Proton. macOS offers predictable performance, strong battery, efficiency, and a controlled ecosystem that professionals find easier to manage than Windows 11's constant changes. Chromebooks provide low-maintenance devices for roles where simplicity matters more than legacy Windows software. Once users cross that bridge and rebuild their workflows elsewhere, they rarely come back. Windows loses more than a user at that moment. It loses influence, future upgrades, and the assumption that it's the default choice.
How many times have you tried searching for a document and it all of a sudden freezes, or you have sync issues, especially with OneDrive? How freaking annoying is OneDrive? I don't want to back things up to the cloud. I don't want to sync. I just want to use my laptop.
Dell learned this the hard way. They spent a year watching AI-first marketing fail to drive consumer sales. Customers walked into stores confused, not excited. So Dell made a strategic shift at CES 2026. Their devices still have NPUs and AI capability built in, but Dell stopped making AI the headline. They focused messaging on battery life, build quality, and display performance instead. Then they brought back the XPS branding. After pushing AI-first naming throughout 2025, they reversed course entirely and returned to a brand customers already trusted. When a company resets its strategy dramatically, they're admitting the story didn't work.
I just feel like there's some spies from these other companies there. I personally feel like at this stage of the game, Mac OS and Linux are better options than Windows because of all the aggravation that I have to put up with.
Enterprises saw through this even faster than consumers. Deployments paused. IT departments piloted Mac OS and Linux instead of rolling out Windows 11. Support overhead increased. Productivity dropped. Some organizations measured the impact directly and rolled back. Others stopped upgrading altogether. Once businesses absorb the one-time migration cost and discover lower support overhead afterward, the decision locks in. Windows loses entire workplaces at once, not just individual users.
That could outsmart a multi-trillion-dollar company? Well, here it is! Yes, as you can see, this crafty query involved things like secrets. You know what my secret is? Riddles. Can you identify the bird from the pseudocode?
Developer sentiment turned hostile. Journalists who built careers covering Microsoft switched platforms publicly. Engineers and IT veterans stopped recommending Windows in forums and communities. Developer surveys showed goodwill replaced by frustration. Developers decide where software gets built first. When they disengage, ecosystems shrink. Windows began losing its gravitational pull as the default target platform.
Windows 11 is intrusive, it is annoying, and it's super gimmicky.
If you're still running Windows 11 and want to reduce exposure, the controls exist, but they're buried. You can disable recall snapshots entirely through settings. You can delete existing snapshots manually. Enterprise environments have group policy and MDM options for centralized control. You can reduce diagnostic data collection and tighten permission footprints across the OS. Security vendors have noted that recall is removable in some configurations and requires BitLocker and Windows Hello to function properly in others. The tools are there. Microsoft just made sure you have to go looking for them.
We're gonna leave. We're gonna stop supporting Windows. And what we can do, the way that we push back, is we have to use our platforms. So for instance, I have this YouTube channel.
Bill Gates built Windows on the idea that software should empower users and stay out of their way. Windows 11 represents the opposite philosophy. When the platform that defined personal computing alienates its own base completely, the anger isn't just about features or updates. It's about watching a decades-long social contract get shredded in a few product cycles. So let me ask you this. If even Dell says the AI PC dream has failed, how much longer can Microsoft pretend Windows 11 is the future? Drop your views in the comments.